everyone, and welcome back to Passport Diaries. This is a travel podcast by TravelStore that takes you to unique and off-the-beaten-path places all around the world, courtesy of our network of expert travel advisors. My name is Jackie Shern. I'm your TravelStore host, and on today's episode, we are covering one of the topics that is top of mind of every traveler in the industry right now, and something that every traveler should consider before heading out on their next trip, and that is travel insurance. So since our TravelStore advisors have been planning trips of all kinds for over 50 years since our founding, and these are trips everything from family vacations in the south of France to expedition cruises to the Antarctic, they know a thing or two, and they know that it's really important to consider having a travel insurance policy in your back pocket just in case it comes in handy, because without it, you're up a creek, and with it, you have a lot of resources at your disposal. So, joining us for this episode to give us an inside look are three guests that collectively make up kind of the trifecta of travel insurance intelligence. We have Heidi Hoehn, who is one of our expert travel advisors with TravelStore. She's been in the industry for over 30 years and has planned all kinds of trips. And not only that, she trains a lot of our advisors on navigating the travel insurance field so that they can better understand the options available to their own travelers and make the best recommendations for their trips. We also have two guests joining us directly from the source. So we have Chris Siravo and Ashley Puniello from Travel Insured International. And they, along with Heidi, are going to give us kind of the inside scoop on all things travel insurance. We're going to get what it is, how it's evolved into something much more expansive than a lot of people might traditionally expect when they think travel insurance. And then we're going to get into some of the details like what is canceled for any reason, why is that something to consider, and does it really mean for any reason? And then, of course, we're going to bring you some of the fun stuff, which are real-life stories on where it comes in handy, how it's really made a big difference, what's going on in the world right now, how it applies, and then some of the top requests that the after-hours and emergency lines receive all the time. So this will give you a great idea of all the ways that travel insurance comes into play in ways that you probably don't think of until you're in destination. Before we jump in, don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart, or anywhere you like to listen. Or you can, of course, watch the full video version of this episode on YouTube. You can see the faces behind the voices, but we also share some fun photos and videos from one of Heidi's recent trips to Scandinavia, which include a visit to a reindeer farm. They're really cute. Definitely check it out. And with that, let's go ahead and join Heidi, Chris, and Ashley and get you everything you need to know about travel insurance. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and we're going to talk all about travel insurance, which is everyone's favorite topic when they're planning their trips.
It's a sexy topic, and I love to talk about it.
It is. I know that we have some fun stories, some tips for people, but Chris, we're going to start with, I think what we need to start with, which is what is travel insurance?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question, right? And I think it's oftentimes it's a misconception, right? I think a lot of travelers are under the impression that it's strictly for trip cancellation coverage and I'm worried about canceling my trip. But it's so much more than that. We really break it up into three parts, right? So you have your travel protection for trip cancellation. We have a number of perils within the various plan offers that we have that will protect you prior to travel. But we also have coverage for once you leave home. So your post-departure benefits. That could be travel delay, trip interruption, medical coverage, baggage loss or delay. So really that's your post-departure, your Part B coverage. And then your Part C, oftentimes most people don't even realize they have non-insurance assistance service providers. We work with a company called Robin Assist, and they're essentially our boots on the ground partner to assist if in the event the insured needs immediate assistance in destination. So it's really a door-to-door service that we provide, full comprehensive coverage, and equally as important, if something happens in destination, our emergency assistance service provider will truly roll out the red carpet and assist your traveler until they arrive home safe and sound.
That's really nice. And I think it's one of the things like, when somebody's headed out on a trip, they're usually going somewhere for the first time. They're usually going probably in a way that feels good. So we're talking a little bit of luxury, which means, there's a pretty heavy investment in having a great time on the trip. So having that helping hand, at least on, like, you have that phone number ready to call in case something happens, just gives you kind of that little bit of extra assurance and relaxation.
Absolutely. It's not about expecting something to go wrong. It's more so about being prepared. Like, trips today are far more expensive than they've ever been. So really, especially that cancellation piece, it truly safeguards thousands of dollars, really, that you're investing in. And it's really that unpredictability factor as well, whether it's weather, illness, delays, global events, really those things that are outside of one's control that they may not consider.
Yeah. And even, especially with social media showing us what can happen and really the possibilities of travel, people that we're sending out are doing very unique things. So we're talking safaris. We're talking like some pretty intense and unique and great, wonderful travel experiences. And that means you're in some very unique situations that you might need help just in case something happens. Usually the lions are very sleepy and fine. No, I'm just kidding. We can talk about the elephant in the room. Speaking of safaris, is there something that people should think more strategically about when it comes to planning their trip and talking about getting travel insurance, given just, where we are in the world today? It's an interesting time. So is this something that people are thinking about more or have more questions about when they're planning trips to certain areas? Is there anything they should consider from your guys' perspective?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things to consider in 2026. And you bring up a great point about how travel is changing so much in today's world. That's why we believe with our insurance policies, they should be an a la carte plan, right? Because not all trip is the same. You may be taking that hot air balloon or you may be taking that safari. So that kind of transitions us into benefits for what's going on in 2026. And I think one of the most unique benefits that we personally offer is cancel for any reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we hear of cancel for any reason, and people associate that with a high insurance cost, right? But there's a reason for it. It's truly cancellation for any reason. So it can be something as serious as, I have a fear of traveling. I'm uncomfortable going to this destination that sounded so incredible 2 years ago, or whatever it may have been.
Mm,
And with that, it can be something serious like that, or it can be something as simple as, oh, I went to the hairdresser and I requested, a ashy blonde and I walked out with purple hair and now I'm not going on my trip. So, cancel for any reason is, I think, the thing that fits the best with the turmoil in the world, that can
yeah.
really put our clients at ease with travel.
And what is there's a sister component of that, which is trip interruption for any reason.
Yeah.
What is that one?
So I love that one personally. I come from a big family. I always potentially want a reason to cut my trip short when I'm traveling with my large family. But interruption for any reason allows your clients to interrupt their trip for any reason of their choosing. Now, of course, with cancel for any reason and interruption for any reason, these are the sexy guidelines of insurance. There's always terms and conditions. But essentially, you can interrupt your trip for any reason of your choosing. So, say you get to that destination and it's not what you expected, or you are traveling with a large family and you're like, you know what, I'm a little overstimulated. I need to go home. Those are what interruption for any reason is built for. And we saw that a lot actually in 2020 with COVID, where a lot of
Mm,
countries had really strict requirements. Like there was some curfews, there was some, you had to wear a mask in public or whatever it may have been. And we
yeah.
saw people utilizing interrupt for any reason to say, you know what, I thought I could do this. I thought this was my dream vacation, but let's come home, let's file for reimbursement, and then let's do this another time.
Do it when they can do it in the way that they planned and expected and hoped for in their head.
Exactly.
And Heidi, I kind of want to use your recent trip as like an example of what people are doing. But you just got back from Sweden, no?
Sweden and Finland. I was up in the north above the Arctic Circle in Lapland. And yeah, there were many, many opportunities there with sledding with reindeer and out in a Siberian husky, uh, dog sledding place, many places where you could trip and fall or, have some other kind of injury, which your medical insurance in the US probably isn't going to cover. So
Yeah.
I have said for years, I want travel insurance to be a huge waste of money because I don't want the
Yeah.
client, I don't want the traveler to ever need to use it. But the one time you use it, it's going to be the best money you ever spent. TravelStore wants to protect your precious vacation days and your precious vacation dollars the best way that we can. And our
Right.
motto is to make every trip as good as it can be, given your budget and your time frame, et cetera. So that's protecting the days, making sure you're in the right place, doing the activities that you want to do. And then the second part is protecting those vacation dollars. And so, yeah, we do tend to talk about cancellation coverage, which isn't very exciting. But when you need it, it's important, whether it's interrupting your trip, canceling your trip, etc. These are, both things that TravelStore takes very, very seriously.
I'm thinking about now, Chris, what you mentioned about having somebody to call at any given moment during your trip. Are there some things that pop out, or are there some frequent questions that, let's say, your 24/7 or your emergency line receives that are just always happening, always coming in? What are those kind of like top 5 things that people call for?
Many times it's a medical referral, an emergency coordination, lost passport. I had an advisor who I worked with just the other day who highlighted the true concierge aspect, where she was in Paris. She was trying to get a dinner reservation at the Jules Verne. She said, "Hey, let me reach out to Robin Assist to see if maybe they can get me into the Jules Verne at the Eiffel Tower." She got right through within 10 minutes. She got a reservation booked. These aren't the
Huh.
things that you think of. It could be something like, you want to, your plans change while you're, in on the west end of Ireland. You want to play golf and book a tea time. You are in Barcelona and you want to book an outdoor concert. And of course, these are things that travel advisors like the folks at TravelStore, Heidi, can assist you with. But if plans change last minute and you're in destination, there are opportunities where that truly is something where Robin Assist can step in as a concierge. I've seen it all too much. I know Ashley and I, in particular, we generally, we hear the horror stories at times, and it's, it could be eyeglass replacement. You fell and you broke your eyeglasses, an
Mm.
emergency cash advance, prescription drug replacement.
Most of these things, as you said, like breaking your glasses, refilling your prescription, I never would think about it until it's happening to you in real time and you need
Exactly.
somebody. Yeah.
I once landed in London and and had an overnight stay in the airport at an airport hotel. And my flight the next morning, I was notified that it had been canceled and that I needed
Mm.
to, and they protected me on another flight, which wasn't going to work. I looked it up and then I said, you know what? I've only got 5 or 6 hours to sleep. I need a shower. I called the travel insurance assist line, said, look, this is what I was booked on. This is what happened. Here's my confirmation numbers. Can you please get this rebooked for me so I can go to sleep? And they did. Of course, by the time I got out of the shower, they already were in process and they said, don't worry, we've got you on this other flight. We'll have ticket numbers and confirmation numbers for you. You can check in as soon as you wake up. So
Wow.
it's even just those kind of helping hand assistance kind of things.
That kind of makes me connect two things that I know to be true, which is that's one of the reasons that people work with travel advisors, right? Is for the connections and the network that will help and make things happen. And I want to say maybe that's something else that people don't realize about travel insurance. It's another network that's working with your network, and it just makes your support system stronger.
Yeah, I mean, travel insurance for years has had this like negative association to it because it's insurance, right? And whether you
Mm.
believe in insurance or not, everyone has their opinion. But how we view insurance and travel insurance in particular is it's an extension of your coverage for your trip. So it should be treated no different than if you're booking your dream excursion, your dream dinner, your dream vacation. This is really here to make sure that all those dreams, along with working with your travel advisor, are all pieced together for one seamless trip. So I think with insurance, it's changing the mindset that it's not that big bad insurance. Like it's not, we're not here just to keep your money and not provide service. It truly is one of those things that we are completing the circle of travel, and we're making sure that all parts match up, and we're really protecting the biggest investment, which is you, the traveler.
That leads me to something that I heard Heidi say when she was training our advisors on how to navigate the travel insurance field, which is, how do you prepare your clients? Like, what are some of the tips that you give them to make sure that they're being as detailed as possible?
When we know our clients, we know that they could have elderly family members, could have kids in school. Kids in school get sick.
Yeah.
Kids in school bring home sickness. So
Kids do a lot.
the more you know about the clients, the travelers and their lives, the better you can advise them on activities and where best they'd like to stay and what best they can do in destinations, but also how to prepare them for these kind of problems. For me, I'll be available during my work hours up till the minute clients depart. But once they depart, they're in a different time zone. They're in a different place. They're in a different. So that's when I want, and all of our things at TravelStore, our prompts are set up for that. It's like, call your agent up until the last minute. We can help you out with our after hours desk for any of your flight issues. But anything else, call your insurance company. And honestly, if I have a client lose a passport, I might call the insurance company on their behalf and say, hey, it's been years since I've dealt with a lost passport. What steps do these clients need to do? Because they do it a lot more often. They're dealing with many more in-country problems. You need an English-speaking physician. You need a pharmacist that you can consult with, because they may not have your exact drug available when you need that prescription refill. So those are the kind of things that that the assistance desk is really good at, does day in, day out, is available 24/7, etc. So I'll take care of you until you leave. I'll take care of you as I can while you're traveling, but these people are going to be a lot faster.
Absolutely. I kind of want to throw out, without anything being too nitty gritty, all the different ways that we can think of that somebody might need to call Travel Insured for help. One that you mentioned yesterday that just stuck with me, Ashley, was if a bride is on her way to her destination wedding and she decided to check her bag with her wedding dress, what happens when that luggage is lost?
Yeah. So PSA, any brides watching this, please do not check your wedding dress. Carry that on. That is like your child. Carry that on to the flight. But yeah, I mean, if you're going to a destination wedding, which is such a popular trend nowadays, right? If you're traveling to a destination wedding and say that you decide to check your dress and then your bag is misdirected, one of our services is Blue Ribbon Bags. So that's another extension of our non-emergency assistance service, but it's through Blue Ribbon Bags, and they can locate your bags. And then you can also have like our baggage delay coverage, which will allow you to potentially buy a cute, maybe not a $5,000 wedding dress, but a cute dress for your destination wedding until, your bag gets there. So that's a big one. But I actually heard of another one this morning that actually relates to Heidi's trip she just took. I heard recently that we had a medical evacuation. So depressing, right? Not the most positive news, but some woman was dog sledding. She fell off. She broke her hip. She was up in the mountains where a helicopter or a med jet could not get to her. So the assistance service organized that another dog sled team came and got her, brought her down the mountain to where a helicopter could pick her up. And then they medevaced her on the helicopter to be stabilized. And then once she was stabilized, she got to go to the hospital of choice. Imagine if you didn't have that service. What would you have done? I personally would have just rolled down the mountain, I think. I think I would have figured the most economical way of getting out of there if I didn't have insurance.
I would have accepted my time.
I would have been like, I'm one with the dogs, I'm one with the mountain.
Yes.
But in all seriousness, that's why the assistance service and insurance is so important, because all those different avenues got this patient stabilized treated with minimal out-of-pocket expenses because it was a medical evacuation. So, Heidi, I thought of you after our conversation, and I was chatting away, and I said, dog sled medical evacuation. I
Yeah,
think,
dog sled evac. I like that.
right? I sign me up for that. That would totally get my mind in the right place with all the cute puppies.
I did have a client actually who complained about her medical evac from a ship in Alaska last summer.
Oh my
She was
goodness.
quite disappointed that they sent a boat to get her off, or actually a float plane. She had to step from the ship into a float plane and then take off from the ocean water to fly to the Anchorage hospital. She really would have preferred a helicopter. She thought that would have been really exciting to be dangling from a helicopter
Oh,
James
in her
Bond.
bed. So that was her complaint. Why couldn't they have given me that thrill?
oh my goodness.
As long as I'm injured, I want it to be cool.
Right?
That's right.
Well, you know the whole ship's looking at you, so you got to leave in style, right?
Exactly.
True.
Absolutely.
You got to give them a little drama. Yeah.
Well, I think it's worth also noting, and I think that's a great story, Ashley. Like Jackie, I think we need to look at the other side of the coin too. Like let's talk about a scenario where a traveler didn't purchase travel protection and something went awry, because that happens often. All it takes is one time to get badly burned, and a traveler will remember that. And then when they work with their trusted travel advisor like Heidi, it's like, wait a second, I need to consider this within my invoice and my trip cost. So I have a quick story from when my brother and sister-in-law honeymooned in the Dominican Republic. This was going back to 2014. Did not have travel protection. They were young, 23, 24.
We're indestructible at that age.
Yeah, the first full day of the trip, my sister-in-law got food poisoning, was extremely sick. She ended up having to go to a hospital. Like Heidi said, like there may be a language barrier based on the country that you're traveling to. They're talking about medication, IVs, different things. It was a very messy situation, and they felt like so helpless. They were able to eventually get home and get on a plane and get home, but you spend tens of thousands of dollars on a once in a lifetime trip, and there's no reimbursement. You're kind of up the creek without a paddle, right? So like Ashley said, and we've talked about, it's the not so glamorous side of the business, but it just speaks to why it truly is so important to protect any trip that you're going on. And the other piece too is, right, like you have, when you work with TravelStore and you work with one of their preferred travel protection providers, in the event of a claim, you have that resource, right? You're not alone trying to file a claim with the travel insurance company. You have Heidi as an advocate. You have your BDM in sales, which happens to be myself. You have Ashley, who is our manager within our sales and account management support team, who acts as a liaison at times between sales and claims. So you have that advocacy, which is really important, because ultimately, yeah, we want to get the traveler home safe and sound, but equally as important, we want to make them whole for their prepaid non-refundable losses that they may have forfeited. So
Yeah.
that's a really important thing. And the ease of use of filing a claim with a travel insurance company can make or break any experience. And ultimately, that is what the traveler will remember, is when I needed the insurance company at most, was the claim process easy? So having that advocacy with your advisor, your sales team, and the claims department for streamlined communication, and that is everything.
Okay, I got one more thing to add. One of the things I always say is that TravelStore is very picky about the partners that we work with. The 4 that we use, as Chris mentioned, these are robust policies with features and coverage that not every travel insurance policy offers. So if you tell me, yeah, I've got coverage through my credit card, I'll probably send you a list of things. Can you just verify that you have this, you have this, you have this? And the 24-hour assistance desk, not every policy has that. A lot of them, particularly the vendor policies, will just say, you take care of it yourself, and when you come back, send us your receipts and we might reimburse you.
Yeah.
That's just wanted to make that clarification. Chris was very, accurate in what he was saying, but the step farther is we use good vendors that we have relationships with. We've dropped ones that had problems with their claim services. That was a long time ago in the past. We can't actually do the things for you, but we can give you most of the paperwork you'll need for the claim. We'll explain the terms, what they mean when they're asking for certain things. So it can go a little bit easier on you than when you're on your own, when we're there to help, because we try to help with all aspects of your travel. Don't leave home without us.
Thought you were going to tell me more crazy stories about a medical evacuation in Alaska, because I can give you the pricing per minute on that. I asked that last time I went to Alaska.
And what was it?
It's $1,000 a minute for a helicopter. Yeah.
Whoa.
Wow.
So I'm a massive klutz, right? I fall over my own 2 feet. And I was going, where was I? I was in Skagway, and I went to the camp where they raised the sled team.
Yeah.
And I was playing with the puppies, and I'm like, all right, what happens if I try to steal a puppy and I trip on my way out of here? And I was like, and I need a medical evacuation. And they said, well, we'll evacuate you to Juneau, but it's 60 minutes from here. They said, so if you're in luck, if it's a Tuesday or Thursday, our local, like clinic is open, but today's Wednesday, so it's not open. So we'll be evacuating you to Juneau. And I said, all right, so 60 minutes, how much? And he goes, $1,000 a minute.
Oh.
Yeah. And he goes, and where do you live? I said, Connecticut. He goes, yep, that you're looking at easily $150,000 for a medical evacuation.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a great illustration of exactly what we're talking about.
Exactly.
You don't want that to happen. This is the real small percentage chance, but when it hits don't
big.
leave home without it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I gotta say, Heidi, you're speaking our love language with insurance, using words like robust and everything like that. But I mean, you're hitting the nail on the head with, an insurance company, and especially TravelStore, it's about power in our partnerships together, right? How can we be beneficial for one another? And I love that you just spoke to that in such great lengths, because that puts your clients at ease, knowing that you're not just picking a big name, or you're not just picking a random insurance company out of a hat. You're trusting in partnership. So we are a team, and we're not two separate entities.
When people are looking at booking their different pieces of their trip, and there's, insurance from the hotel, from the flight, from the da-da-da-da-da. What are the pros and cons of doing that versus using like a blanket travel insurance plan, or even an annual plan? Because I know that's what I have.
I think with Travel Insured in particular, we've done such a great job of customization in the last 2 years with our newest brand of worldwide trip protector plans. You want to do those apples to apples comparisons when you're considering purchasing travel protection through a cruise line, a tour operator, an airline, relying on your credit card coverage. The perils, reasons for trip cancellation and trip interruption vary considerably. Travel Insured in particular, with our premier plan, we have our Worldwide Trip Protector Platinum that offers over 30 reasons for trip cancellation. When you offer a cruise line or a tour operator insurance policy, you won't see as many covered reasons. You also want to consider your accident and sickness medical expense coverage. So we talked about it. We've seen so many 6-figure medical evacuation claims this year alone. Some are north of $200,000. And again, that's not the norm to have that amount of coverage on a cruise line or a tour operator insurance policy. Generally, those limits are much lower. But with a third-party insurance provider, we provide a full comprehensive suite of products, and we will cover any prepaid non-refundable travel arrangement. So that encompasses hotel, air, land, sea. You don't have to worry about piecemealing and covering all different trip components with different insurance companies. You can go straight to Travel Insured, and we'll truly cover the entire trip. With that medical coverage as well, we guarantee payment up front. If in the event you need to go to a hospital, certain countries like Aruba, parts of Mexico, if you get hurt and you have to go to a hospital, they might ask you to fork up $10,000 up front, and you end up playing credit card roulette, right? Like, that's not fun. You don't have insurance. But with us, again, Robin Assist, going back to that duty of care aspect, like, they will step in if your client does not have the means to pay up front. we will pay upfront, whether it's a hospitalization, a medical evacuation. I mean, it's hard to say. I don't have $150,000 to pay for an evacuation from Juneau to Rhode Island. So, I mean, certainly it really is an all-encompassing thing, and you just want to make sure that you're considering apples to apples, who has the most comprehensive plan. And generally, when you're working with a third-party insurance company like Travel Insured, it really can't be beat.
And Jackie, you asked about an annual plan too. So annual plan is one of those big trending topics. I feel like anytime I go on TikTok or Instagram, it says protect your trips for an entire year, right? Or maybe
Yeah.
that's just my my algorithm at this point. But um, but with an annual plan, again, it's comparing, right? So for example, if you are a family of 4, right? So 2 adults and 2 young children, or you're a single traveler, the annual policy might be a better fit for those single travelers because for families, your children will be charged a premium. Whereas if you look at a single trip policy like our Platinum or Deluxe, the kiddos are free. So it's comparing on what works for your family. Our annual policy, too, is really unique in the form of it's extremely cost effective, but there are certain benefits that are not included that you can, of course, always add on, build your coverage, make it fully customizable. But those are benefits that some people may mistakenly think are included. So, when it comes to an annual plan versus the single trip plans, the annual plans are really great for folks that are taking multiple trips, that their main concern is maybe baggage delay, medical, partially evacuation. I personally love this. I will use a personal story. My mom loves gambling on cruise ships. She gets free cruises every single year, right? So for her, she's not concerned with the cost of her trip, but she is concerned about her bags, her delays if she's delayed getting to the port, and more. The annual policy is a perfect fit for her because she has no expenses she's concerned about protecting. So it's finding, what plan works best for your travel needs. But like Chris said, comparing, it's not always going to be apples to apples. It's going to be talking to your travel advisor, letting them know what your travel plans look like, and then they can help find the best fit for you.
Since we were talking about trips, as we go into the year, do you have any trips that either of you or any of you are excited about that are coming up that, of course, will be covered by a travel insurance plan?
Uganda, hiking to see the gorillas. I pretty much topped anything anybody else could say, so sorry.
I think mine was just a trip to my mailbox. No. You won the cake for that one.
Yeah.
And I do have a policy in place covering the trip. Did it as soon as I made the plan.
Love it.
And I hope it's a waste because I don't want to need to use it.
That's right. We do have our sales meeting coming up in Cancun, Mexico in July. So I really need to get on my passport renewal. So
I'm not going anywhere this year, but my goal is hopefully next year, because this year we have some family planning we're doing. So I'm going to have a little one later in the year. So no trips. But our goal is in 2027 to hopefully do a Disney Alaskan cruise. So that's where I was pregnant with my son first time around. I did Alaska twice in the summer. He was in my belly twice for those 2 trips. So it's very special to me. So I'm hoping we can do a full circle moment and go to Alaska, hopefully in 2027.
So there you have it. That was a deep dive into the ins and outs of travel insurance with our friends at Travel Insured International. I hope you got as much out of this chat with Chris, Ashley, and Heidi as I did, and have a better understanding of how travel insurance policies fit into your overall trip planning. I want to thank our guests again for joining me for this episode, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our channels wherever you like to get your podcasts, or check out our YouTube channel so that you can stay in the loop and never miss an episode like this. You can also find a wealth of information on our website where our travel experts post blogs and travel journals about their recent trips, and you can check out a bunch of information on all the destinations out there just waiting for you to pay them a visit. So thanks again for joining us, everyone, and until next time, safe travels from all of us here at TravelStore.